What's going on? My name is Francis, and if you're new to this channel, consider hitting that subscribe button and that notification bell because I post a new video every single day. My group coaching program is now open, so if you want to be a part of the class, then hit the link that's in the description box of this video, because once the class is full, I'm not going to be taking on any more people. In this video, what we're going to be talking about is how to manifest by letting go of your ego. How to let go of the ego and actually manifest whatever it is that you want. Because when it comes to manifestation, the number one thing that you should be focusing on is actually becoming very present to the moment and letting go of your ego. Because it's very, very hard to manifest when you're not connected to the present moment and in a flow state and you're at a lower level of consciousness. If you're not conscious of the present moment, if you're continually in resistance to the moment, if you're resisting the moment, then it's not going to be easy for you to manifest because you're resisting what is. If you're resisting what is and you're not manifesting from a conscious place, then manifestation is just going to be very, very difficult for you because you're going to be in continual resistance to the present moment. Because here's the thing, a lot of us are unconsciously absorbed in the thinking mind without even realizing it. And when you're unconsciously absorbed in the thinking mind, some people actually call this the ego. Eckhart Tolle from The Power of Now, the author of The Power of Now, actually calls this the ego. And this ego is actually blocking you from manifesting whatever it is that you want, because when you're living in the ego, you're so absorbed by your thought processes, you're so consumed by the mind, you have such a lack of being connected to the present moment that it's incredibly difficult to create the life that you want and manifest whatever it is that you want. But not only are you not going to be able to manifest, but you're going to be completely absorbed by your mind, and you're not going to be able to see the beauty and the aliveness of what is happening right here, right now, because we miss the beauty and we miss the aliveness of the moment because we're so unconsciously consumed by the thinking mind. And this is definitely not going to be a good position for you to manifest whatever it is that you want. Because if you want to manifest something, the best thing you can do is actually learn how to be present to the moment and use a tool like meditation. Because if your mind is continually cluttered, if your mind is continually consumed by if your attention is consumed in the mind, if all your energy and all your attention is in the mind, and you don't know how to connect deeper to the present moment, that's going to make manifestation very, very difficult. That's also going to put you in a state of being in resistance. And when you're in resistance, you resist the moment, and the ego wants to be in some other moment than this moment right now. And when you're in resistance, that's not allowing you to manifest, because manifestation comes from a flow state and allowing things to unfold. Doesn't mean that you can't take action. It just means that you have to be in a non-resistance state so that you can actually manifest much easier. Because the ego can manifest, the ego can definitely create a life that it wants, but it's always going to be blocked, and it's not going to be able to reach its full potential because the ego thinks that it has to control everything. The ego thinks that it needs to control every little thing in life so that it can actually manifest in the most controlled way possible. But when you're in that blocked state of consciousness, you're not allowing yourself to fully manifest in a very, very easy way, because manifestation is supposed to be easy. Manifestation is not supposed to be this difficult thing, but the ego makes it difficult because it's not even enjoying the present moment. The present moment is supposed to be very enjoyable. It's supposed to be something that you actually enjoy doing. But we lose the enjoyment and we forget, literally we forget. We have to remember how to be present to the moment because we're so lost in our thinking. Like, we had this as a kid. When you were a little kid, you were very good at manifestation. You were very good at enjoying the present moment. You started off clean. You started off completely clean. You started off in a state of consciousness that wasn't blocked by all the conditioning. Because when you started your life, you were actually at a higher state of consciousness, and you actually started off completely clean. And we think that as we grow these egos in life, or we grow this sense of who we think we are, which comes from the unobserved mind, the ego really is that self-image of who you think you are. It's that thing that we attach to, but it comes from a lack of awareness, and we can call it the unobserved mind. Okay, that's another great way to explain where the ego comes from. It comes from a lack of consciousness, being so absorbed by the mind that you create this false sense of who you are. So when you were born, you actually started off completely clean. You start off as a clean state of consciousness that was fresh and very easy. Like, you could manifest so easily when you were a little kid. And then so we think that as we grow these egos, we're gaining something. We think that we're growing these egos, like, yeah, I'm gaining something, I'm getting so much bigger, I'm getting so much better. But the reality is that when you start growing this ego, you're not actually gaining anything, but you're actually limiting yourself, and you're limiting your potential. Your ego is actually limiting your potential to manifest in the best way possible. Because when you were born, you were actually an amazing manifester, but then the conditioning of society puts all these stories in your head, like, I'm not worthy, I can't create the life that I want, I'm not confident, I'm not shy, and you lack a connection to who you truly are. Because there's a story playing in our head that is not allowing us to live into the new story. But you have to understand that even the story of I'm not confident, or the story of I'm shy, or I'm a good manifester, or I'm not a good manifester, all of these are literally made up stories. Obviously, it's better to be confident than shy, but both of these are literally made up stories, and neither of them are who you truly are at a deeper level. Neither of them are who you truly are. If you connect to the essence of who you actually are, you're just pure empty awareness living this human experience. But you're not actually a human, like, you're not the person. You're attaching too much to the person and the story of who you think you are. There's something deeper that is going on here. Because when I learned how to meditate, I learned how to be the observer of my thoughts rather than attach to them. And when I learned how to observe my thoughts rather than attach to them, what I found is that I am simply the witnessing presence of my thoughts, not actually my thoughts. My thoughts are not who I am. And the thoughts that I tell myself about who I think I am is not actually who I am. Because the thoughts that I tell about myself, about who I think I am, is nothing more than a conditioned story that either I made up or I got from the outside sources of society, from the conditioning that was placed in my mind. So when it comes to manifesting and letting go of your ego, the ego is the conditioned part of who you are. And if you want to manifest, you have to connect deep inside of yourself. You have to connect to the universe. You have to connect to the source of who you actually are beyond the conditioning of your mind, okay? Because the conditioning of your mind is very, very, very limited. Okay, the conditioning of your mind is very, very limited. So if you want to manifest, the number one thing you can do is let go of the ego. And how do you actually do this? You don't actually let go of the ego, but you observe the ego. Okay, because we're always going to have egos, but observation of the ego is not the ego anymore. The ego implies a lack of awareness. It implies that you're not the observer of your mind, okay? So if you want to let go of your ego, don't think of it as like, I have to kill this ego, I have to let go of this ego. We need to kill the ego, we need to obliterate the ego, we have to just let it go. It's actually about observing the ego and just observing your thoughts, because when you observe your thoughts, what you find is that there's no more ego, because you're not identified with those thoughts. The ego is only created when you're unconsciously identified with the thoughts and the emotions and feelings that you have, and you believe those to be who you truly are at a deeper level. But when you can simply be the awareness of your thoughts and not identify with them, you will find that there's no more ego, and you're not this ego anymore. You are simply the witnessing presence of whatever it is that you're looking at. So the ego implies a lack of consciousness. The ego implies a lack of awareness. The ego implies a lack of being connected to the present moment and who you truly are, okay? Because if you want to manifest, okay, you have to understand that connecting deeply to the present moment is the best way to do it. Okay, it's the best, like seriously, if you want to manifest, the best thing you can do is make your number one priority, how do I become the most present to the moment? Seriously, if you want to be like an expert manifester and create your life, the number one thing you can focus on is how do I become more present to the moment? How do I live my life as the witness of my thoughts rather than becoming my thoughts? Because if you can witness something that's not who you are, like if you have a thought in your head that comes in and says, I'm not worthy, is that truly who you are? Like seriously, is that who you are? Because if you actually get to the source of that thought, like I'm not worthy, that thought probably came from some conditioning from when you were younger, and then you unconsciously agreed to that story, and you're like, yep, that's who I am. I'm not a worthy person. That's just who I am. I'm not confident. I'm not worthy. I can't create my life. This is just who I am. I can't create my desires. I can't do any of that stuff. That's just who I am. Is that really who you are, or is that a made up story in your mind that came from the conditioning of the ego that you've created for yourself? Because when you tell yourself things like, I'm not worthy, or I can't create my life, or I can't reach my financial goals, that is literally a story playing in your head. But it's hard to admit that's a story when you're unconsciously absorbed in the ego. Because when you're stuck in the ego, you're not going to admit that's a story you created because you're so attached to it, and part of your sense of self is actually dependent and it wants to survive. You want to keep that sense of self alive, and you want to keep that story alive. So if somebody was to point that out, you'd be like, no, that's just who I am, man. Like you're going to start defending yourself. If somebody's saying like, dude, that's just a story in your head, you would definitely not agree with them. This is why it's very important to develop awareness and observation of the ego. You can observe your thoughts in meditation, and you can prove to yourself that it's nothing more than a story in your head. I don't want you to believe me. You believing me has no benefit to you letting go of your ego. Because if you just believe me, that means you're still believing in your own thoughts. I'm asking you to stop believing in the story that you told yourself and simply be the observer and question the story that you've been telling yourself, and ask yourself, what is the source of that story? Like, is this story actually who I am at a deeper level? Or is this a made up story that I unconsciously attached to, that I probably created when I was a little kid? Like seriously, these stories are made up. So the key is to understand that at a deeper level, you are just pure consciousness. You are pure awareness. And you can literally be conditioned to have some story in your mind, and that can create your reality because you're basically brainwashed by the external. But how about you brainwash your own mind and you write your own story and you rewrite the own story that you want for yourself, rather than letting unconscious attachments build up inside your ego and automatically create your life unconsciously? How about you consciously manifest by rewriting your story, but by first developing awareness and observation of the current story, which is your ego. That's part of the story. Part of the story is your ego, that identity that you've built up for yourself. And then you can actually let that go. And so this goes a lot deeper than just manifesting. This is actually about enjoying the present moment, finding pure peace and joy and liberation in the present moment. But then as a result of letting go of your ego and spiritually awakening to who you truly are and connecting to the moment, you will naturally become an amazing manifester because you release the resistance to the present moment. You will naturally create the life of your dreams because the ego wants to force everything and make things so difficult. But when you let go of the ego and you let go of the blocks, your life is just going to unfold in a natural way, because you're not taking action from a place of fear. The ego lives in fear. And if your life is based on a foundation of fear that you were unconscious of, and you're trying to tell yourself affirmations like, I'm abundant, like this is me, I'm abundant, I'm a manifester, but you still have all this unconscious ego attachment, how do you think that you're going to manifest the life of your dreams? If you just say, I'm abundant, I'm abundant, I'm abundant, but then there's all this, like, you didn't take care of, you're shining something that's dirty on the inside. You didn't fully clean it out. You have to clean out all the baggage, clean out all the limiting beliefs, clean out all the resistance, clean out all the past and future thinking that creates anxiety and fear and worry, because all the energy is trapped in the mind. Okay, energy flows where attention goes. And if your attention is stuck in the thinking mind, that's where all the energy goes. And you need to have a vision to manifest, but the best way to manifest is actually to put your full energy and bring all the energy of what you're doing into the present moment, and then have that vision in mind, because when you, like, everything that you want to manifest is in this present moment. It's not in the future. It's not in the future. Like, what you want to manifest is going to happen right here, right now, because the present moment is all that exists. And so if you're stuck in the thinking mind, in the future, you will always be creating resistance to your manifestation, because your mind is attached to a future concept of where you're gonna get one day. Like, one day I'm gonna manifest. 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 You're stuck in the future. Your energy is attached to the future. Your manifestation will happen in the present moment. But that unconscious attachment to the future is coming from your ego. It's coming from a lack of presence. Energy flows where attention goes, okay? So if you actually become conscious of the fact that your energy is stuck in your thinking mind, and you redirect it to your body, like, you take a deep breath when you're meditating, you literally redirect that energy to your body. Like, you're literally redirecting the energy. And then you do this every single day, 30 minutes meditation. You bring the energy to the moment. You start to become more present to the moment. You let go of your ego. You stop being so attached to your thoughts. Your manifestation will just happen so much easier, okay? But when you're trapped in the future, you're never gonna manifest, because your manifestation is gonna happen right here, right now. But when you learn to let go of the ego, you're gonna learn how to vibrate on the frequency of the manifestation that you actually want, because by meditating and by becoming present to the moment and observing the ego, realizing that it's not who you are, connecting to the deeper essence of who you are, connecting to the present moment and feeling the aliveness of the moment, then what's gonna happen is you're gonna start vibrating internally at a higher frequency. You're literally gonna start feeling better. You're gonna start feeling those feelings of the manifestation that you once put in your mind in the future. What you're thinking, wait a second, I can actually feel the abundance of having money right here, right now. Rather than telling myself I am abundant, I'm financially abundant, and then deep inside your being you don't believe that, you can start vibrating on that frequency by meditating and feeling that abundance within you. Like, you're literally brainwashing your own mind to have feelings that wouldn't, like, that you think are the future is going to give you, but you start to feel it in yourself, and your brain is going to be telling you a story either way. Like, you can either tell your own story, or you can let society place a story in your mind and listen to that unconsciously. Or you can become conscious of the story, then choose to rewrite it. Now affirmations are going to be powerful. Affirmations are powerful because you're saying I am something. It's in the present tense. You're not saying one day I'm going to become something. You become that thing, and you can rewrite the story of who you want to become in the present tense, not in the future, because you let go of the old story so much, you connected to the essence of who you actually are. You know that it's all a made up story. So when you tell yourself something like I am abundant, you will actually believe it, because you know it's coming from the source of who you are, not just attached to the ego. Okay, you see the difference there? When you connect to the source of who you are, which is just pure empty awareness, you let go of the story. Now when you use an affirmation, now you're in the position to create your life, because you let go of the ego. Okay, so you want to manifest the fastest way possible. Let go of your ego by observing the ego, because observing the ego is letting go of the ego. Learn how to become present to the moment and make your number one focus how to increase your level of awareness and consciousness, and let go of your ego by observing the ego, and you will manifest so much easier. Your life will just unfold rather than the ego trying to control everything, okay? So that's all I have for you today. Make sure you hit that like button so more people can see this kind of information and they can understand that they can manifest so much easier if they just observe the ego. If this video resonated with you in some way or form, then hit that like button so it can impact the YouTube algorithm, okay? Once again, my group coaching program is now open. There's limited spots available, so if you want to join the class, then hit the link that's in the website of the video. There's a description link. You could just hit that link and you'll be joining the class if you desire. Have yourself a great day and see you in the next video.